always been wanting to do a recording under my own name, you know, and with my own music, you know, write some music and, you know, get my music out there. It took me a long time, but finally I got enough money together to do it. I had been playing with Joe Giardulo for quite a while, and that was like, you know, my first, you know, thing was like, well, I'm definitely going to use him, you know, because we seem to work so well together, you know. You know, I knew I wanted a bass player and drummer, but I didn't know like who I wanted to use, you know. I was thinking about all these different cats, and I wanted to find guys that could rehearse the music, that were willing to put some time in. I hooked up with this drummer, Matt Crane, that a guy named David Honor recommended, that he had been playing with. The bass player, Craig Nixon, me and him have been friends since I first moved up here, like, you know, in the 80s. He had went down south for 10 years, and he had just came back, like, not too long before, you know, I was thinking about this recording. So, you know, I started playing with him a little bit again, and so I got these guys together, and I told them what I wanted to do, and I said, you know, you guys want to play the music like once a week, and so we could do this recording, and they were all down for it, and it was great. So we really got to form a good bond and a good musical rapport with each other, you know. I mean, that was like so important to me, you know. I could have got guys like big name guys, you know, that would have done it, guys that I even know. But, you know, they wouldn't have been able to really rehearse, you know. They would have had to just come in and do the recording, and I didn't want that, you know. So I wrote some tunes that I thought would be really cool for the group, and we started rehearsing them. And then I had two tunes that I wanted to play, one by Jimmy Lyons, We Sneeze Away, which, you know, Jimmy Lyons has always been one of my favorites since I went to see him when I was young. And then I had this other tune, Steve Lacy, who was also a big influence on me, and so I wanted to do one of his tunes. And I remember years ago also I seen Steve do a duo with this percussionist Oliver Johnson that he played with a lot, and that was another amazing concert, you know, for me. And then I had heard that Oliver Johnson was murdered in a park in France, and I thought that I wanted to do the tune No Baby, because I remember his voice was on the record and saying No Baby, and you know, I thought that was I said, you know, and I'm gonna put his voice on the record too, and that's what I did. So I mean, as much as a Lacy fan I am, I think the tune is more about you know, Oliver Johnson, really. I was very happy with the results of the recording. I was thrilled, you know, listening back to it. Just these guys were killing on it, you know. I was psyched, you know. I couldn't wait to get it out, you know. Jimmy Lyons, I didn't know I met him, but a trumpeter, Raphe Malik, and saxophonist Glenn Spearman, I did know. I remember my first guitar teacher, Dave Moreno, he was studying with Raphe, and he used to take me to these lofts and stuff, and to see these guys, and you know, and they were very encouraging, you know, to me to play that type of music, you know, and you know, and they would always talk about the music, and you know, and how hard it was, you know, to get gigs, and to even get students that wanted to play that music, and it's just, it was really life and death, this music, to them, you know, and that's what had really impressed me, you know, and they were very encouraging to me, you know, and they played with Jimmy Lyons and with Cecil Taylor, you know, so they were always at the gigs, you know, and I used to go with them sometimes with my guitar teacher, Dave Moreno, and we used to hang out with these guys, and you know, they used to, just, you know, as a kid, you know, I was only, I was like 12, 13 years old at the time, and hanging out with these guys and listening to them. These guys, man, they were like, they weren't making any money. I mean, they were just living off the bed, you know, off of nothing practically, and it was, their whole life was about this music, and you could see they were really struggling, you know. they would play these gigs and there'd only be a few people there, and it was just the highest level of music. It was just unbelievable, and there was hardly anybody there, you know. And I remember Raphe telling me, you know, he says, you know, I can't even get any students. He says, you know, I had one guy call me up and he says to me, you know, I want to play like Herb Alpert. And the guy says, well, who do you play with? And he says, well, I play with Cecil Taylor. And the guy's like, Cecil Taylor? Who's that? I never heard of him. You know. And I remember we went to see one of Raphe's gigs, and it was just me and Dave in the audience, you know, and he was always like, and years later he said to me, yeah, I remember that gig. It was only you and Dave were the only people there. And it's just to see the way these guys struggled, you know. But there was something about it that made me want to play that music, you know, because it was so real and it was just so much fire to it. It was just, man, it blew me away, you know, to see that music live was just, wow, I knew that that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to play that music. I was never really inspired by guitar players, by, you know, avant-garde guitar players. You know, I was definitely more into horn players and you know, piano players and stuff like that. You know, Derek Bailey was really knocked me out, but you know, I didn't, you know, try to play like him or anything. You know, I just thought he was great. And Blood Ulmer, James Blood Ulmer, I think was probably another. He was an influence on me. I could say that. I would say Cecil Taylor, like Ornette Coleman, and Bill Dixon were probably like my three like biggest influences, you know. And Cecil for sure has been always my biggest. I have a new band now, except for the bass player Craig Nixon. He's still with me, but I have Dean Sharp now on drums and Chris Kelsey on soprano saxophone, and we did a gig recently of the music, and it was great, and there was a lot of people there. And the thing about it is there was a lot of people there who never even heard this kind of music, you know, any kind of avant-garde or free jazz or anything like that. And they loved it, and they were telling me, oh man, that was so awesome. I never heard anything like that before. And it was just, and that was so exciting to me, you know, for people that, you know, because I was a little nervous about that actually, you know, for non-musicians to tell me like, wow, you know, that was really awesome. I mean, it really made it for me. It was like that. It was really meant a lot to me, you know. If I find that if I don't like pursue this music, that I'm like a fish out of water. It's just something I have to do. I can't like just not do it. I really believe in the music that I'm doing, and I think it's good music, and it needs to be out there.